Contrarian trader, and welcome to another Sunday Night Futures Live. We have a lot to go over, a lot going on in the markets. Before we get to the charts and the opening futures action, I want to remind those that have been long-time viewers and those that are new, welcome aboard. And there are free video tutorials below, a 5-part video tutorial. You can get to know me a little bit better, my style of trading, my candlesticks that I like the best, 5-part video tutorial. And there's also a video below about our trading strategy when it comes down to options trading strangles. So just a reminder, tonight what we're going to go over is a lot of news coming out over the weekend. I have a bit of good news. Most of it's going to be bad news, folks. I'm going to be honest with you up front. It's not good. But I'm going to leave it off with some positive news, and we're going to go over economic data, valuations of the market, and we got a busy week coming up. It's going to be very, very interesting. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get to first comments to say hello to everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend. William. Hey, brother. How you doing, man? Hey, Franklin. Looking forward to what you have to share. Yeah, I think it's some good stuff. It's a lot of strategy. I think it's going to be more of what we did last week. I think we positioned ourselves nicely for this week. So I feel very comfortable going into the new trading week. And I have some ideas to bounce around as well. Luis, hey, Bob, new beard. I see. Yep. This is my winter my winter look. Trader Isaac, even Bob, do you still like shipping Zim earnings this week? I never buy or short a stock into earnings unless they're extremely overbought or extremely oversold. Way too much risk in that trade. So me, were I looking to get long of Zim, I would wait until after earnings. If you want to do it, maybe you sell it deep out of the money put. If it gets put to you, you're happy with getting it at a discount, less the premium. But just be careful. We can go over the chart. I mean, that's something we could certainly do. I like the chart. I have liked it for some time now, so we'll definitely go over it for you. I wrote a note to myself. William, good. How's the gas price in Long Island? It's creeping up. It's nowhere near as bad as over in California, but it's certainly creeping up, no doubt about it. Hey, Bob, is that your music playing? Oh, I can't hear it on my end. There's a widget going on here. It said something new with the. Is it bad or pain? Is it annoying, or do you like it? Let me know. If nobody likes it, I'll just take it off. I can't hear it on my end. Hey, John, welcome aboard. John, if you have any symbols for me, Nas just hit the lower lows. All right, we're selling off hard here. We're selling off real hard here. All right, let's let things settle down. Maybe we'll get some buyers to come in here. Falcon, hey, brother. Tell me what you really think. Awesome. It's off. It's all. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. Okay. That's too funny. I forgot it was on. I'm sorry, people. I really am. Techno music by yeah. I should have had my my gangster rap playing. Hey, Joseph. Howdy. Off. Okay, so nobody likes the music. Hey, great feedback. Now I know what not to do. Good stuff. Oil, 130 about. Yeah, it's bananas, man. Gold in real terms hit all-time highs over in Europe this weekend. All right, let's get to it. So we're seeing the Nasdaq 100 down 1.25%. We were lower, a bit of a bounce here. Let's see if we get buyers moving in here, or do we break down to new lower lows? This is a 15-minute chart, so very volatile. Let's get a feel for where we're at. The first thing I need to point out is that we just hit new weekly lows. This is a 4-hour chart. It's not looking good. Let's take a look at, I'm going to stick with a 30-minute chart right now. This is now a 30-minute chart. This is not looking good. S&P 500 down 1%. We were lower. We have support immediately below. The Russell 2000 breaking support. New weekly lower lows. Down 1.12%. And it wants to go lower. The Dow futures. Not down as bad as and you wouldn't imagine there would be. Not down as much as the other indexes. Circle back to the Nasdaq for a moment. Okay. All right, let's take a quick peek at the dollar. Wow, big move up higher. Dollar's up over a percentage point already. Okay, we have an alert there. We want to know if we break out to new higher highs. When we're looking at the dollar, we want to definitely look at gold to see how it's doing. Now, in normal circumstances, I would expect with the dollar this strong that gold, why can't I find gold? That gold would be down with a stronger US dollar, but no way. So what we're looking at right here, the first thing that I interpret from the move here, you get a big move in the US dollar, equities down, gold is up with the US dollar. That generally doesn't happen. The only time it does happen is when there's geopolitical risk, geopolitical fear. So I think it's the obvious. I'm not saying anything that anybody else couldn't have figured out, but I'll state it. It's obvious that what's driving the market right here, right now, what's going to drive the market into the new trading week is Russia. No shock, right? But not only is it just Russia, it's our response to Russia. Uh, we really haven't done much to try to ratchet down the tensions. If anything, we've been ratcheting them up. And I'll go to some points in a moment. Let's stick with commodities. Silver. Oh my God, silver's up nearly 1.5%. All right. So as we go into the new trading week, our strategy as we exited last week for this week was we remained long of our silver trade, our silver mining trade, our gold mining trade, our egg trade. We have a little company called Calmaine Foods we're long of. They're doing very, very well with that trade. So that's our inflation portfolio. So that is doing well. At the same time, we did have positions that went against us. LABU, it's a leverage ETF putting you long of biotechs, and we sold puts there. We had to roll that trade. PayPal, we sold puts there. We had to roll that trade as well. But on PayPal, what I did is roll the trade, roll that naked put trade into this coming week, expiring this Friday. But what I did is I took a portion of the premium. I wasn't greedy. I said, you know what? Let's insure this trade. Let's buy a put for a protective floor on the shares just in case something drastic happens. So we also went short of the triple Qs by buying a bear put spread. We purchased a deep in the money put option, and we sold a deep out of the money put option, helping to finance the trade. So we're going into this coming week very, very hedged and with a bias to the short side. So we're feeling good. We're going to stick with that. But the news is going to be driving whatever we do here. It's not really technically driven. It's not going to be the chart. There's going to be a lot of news as well. So don't get too hung up with, bear's candlestick here. Don't get too hung up on these patterns, because while they matter, they are not the overwhelming driver of the market. We're not in normal times. We have geopolitical risk, very, very headline driven and algo driven. All right. So silver, very strong. What are yields doing? All right. So again, you're seeing money move into the 10-year Treasury note, the 30-year Treasury note. What is that doing? It's driving yields lower. Agriculture prices, corn up slightly, soybeans down slightly, wheat, which has been in the news quite a bit, it doesn't appear to be open now. Here's the weekly chart, though. Very, very overbought. I'm very bullish on wheat, but you can't buy it right here, right now. It's trading well above its third standard deviation Bollinger Band. So while it could move up higher, right now, if you're buying this as a momentum trade, you need to respect it as a momentum trade and use a trailing stop loss order to get yourself out without too much damage, and try to capture as much upside potential or upside profits as possible. The VIX. The VIX is up nearly 4.25%. And it looks as though we're going higher. This is a 4-hour chart. All right, so the bears are totally in control right now. I haven't looked at oats at all. Oats not doing much. Let's take a look at energy prices. Light sweet crude. Oh my God. So this means that Brent is even higher. Let's go to the Brent price. Let's take a look at it on a daily, actually 4-hour chart, because the daily chart isn't updated yet. So we're coming up here. Here's your upper band of resistance. We're probably going to see 133, 134 the barrel before we get any type of pullback on oil. Trying to find natural gas here. I think is it NG? Yep. All right, so natural gas, not skyrocketing. But we do have a new weekly higher high. Here's your weekly chart. This is updated to reflect today's price action. So a new weekly higher high. We're going higher in natural gas. Let's check back in quickly with the NASDAQ. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, I want to go to Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's dropping like a rock. So for those out there that want to buy Bitcoin, don't remember the correlation. All right, right now Bitcoin is trading like a risk asset. Okay, we know that it has a correlation with the CPI, but it also has a correlation with risk assets. So Bitcoin is going to trade with equities lower, the growth names lower, until such time as traders wake up and realize the Federal Reserve is not going to do a goddamn thing about inflation. Then at that point in time, there's going to be a realization and an inflection point where growth may be going this way, growth stocks may be going this way, but Bitcoin pauses and says, you know what? I got to become a store of value. They're going to come out with the digital dollar. You got the World Economic Forum with their great reset. Screw this. I'm out of the dollar-based system. And that should take it back up. So I'm looking to buy Bitcoin, but I think it's going to go lower first. And I was going to purchase a little bit today. And I said, you know what? Don't do it, because you know the correlation. And sure enough, it was down around $400, and now it's down 1,200. Because the weekly chart of Bitcoin is horrible, and this is what really caused me to pause. Topping tail last week doesn't look as horrible on this chart, but man, if we break down below 32.7 on Bitcoin, we're going a lot lower. So patience, just build up that cash in your money market account and wait to put it to work. All right. Let's check back in with the NASDAQ, see what it is doing, because we have a short position there. All right, so it looks like the NASDAQ's going to take out the session lows. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. Let's go to some comments. See a lot of conversation going on. Talon just bought a bunch of physical. Wise. Don't buy paper silver. Don't buy. I own paper silver. But moving forward, I'm not going to be buying any more electronic silver. I want physical. Because they're going to come out with this digital dollar, and I don't trust anything that could be taken from you. All right, definitely stick with the purchase of physical. You frankly doing the same thing. Okay, good. Okay, Donnie. Crazy how Bitcoin has dropped to 38,000. Certainly not an inflation hedge yet. Not yet. And I think that's the operative word there. Like you said, it's yet. So the gold is definitely the place to be. It's only going up higher. CVX and BNO calls are on fire. Yeah, I bet. Thoughts on CDS prices? I'm going to that in a moment. Those swaps, I mean, the bond market is. Let's get to it. I'm just going to go to it. Great, Clark. Great point you bring up here because I have it ready to go, locked and loaded. Copper price almost broke $5 mark. Yeah, copper is in fuego. In fuego. Patrick, ERH. We'll take a look at it. Oh, ETH, Ethereum. Okay, we'll take a look at it. It's probably going to look just like Bitcoin. Okay, so the Nasdaq now down 1.62%. Okay, VIX really rising. Look at the dollar, man. Holy Christ, there's a lot of fear out there. But we need to have the presence of mind to, as this VIX rises, uh, you got to start getting your shopping list together and looking at those stocks that look attractive. So we're definitely going to be building that list, right? So we went into the week short, but now I'm thinking, okay, what's on sale? So that's how we're going to be looking because when the VIX is high, you got to buy. When the VIX is low, you got to go. So we did it a couple of weeks ago when the VIX was high. We bought was it FedEx and I think it was PayPal. Yeah, PayPal. We did options on PayPal. All right, let's get to it. All right, economic data coming out this week. NFIB Small Business Index. That's on Tuesday. Initial jobs. Oh, CPI comes out this week. Whatever CPI is, double it. Okay, that's the real inflation rate. All right, so not a ton of economic data coming out. I don't even see a lot of Fed heads coming out and giving speeches this week. So that's a good thing. Valuation of the market. Despite all the turmoil in the markets, folks, we remain very overbought, overvalued. We're 52% overvalued at current or 1.7 standard deviations beyond the historical norm. Schiller PE ratio, 35.43. We've hardly budged. Still very expensive relative to the mean at 16.92. Earnings this week. I'm reluctant to trade earnings that much on smaller cap stocks. Right now, I'm only doing it on big S&P 500 stocks. Zim, as was mentioned earlier, the trader Isaac mentioned it. It comes out and reports earnings on Wednesday morning. We have a lot of small companies here. Dick's Sporting Goods may be one. Not much going on here that I would want to trade on earnings. CrowdStrike comes out on Wednesday after the hours. That is a internet security play. We've traded earnings on CrowdStrike a number of times in the past. We've done well each time. So that's certainly one that we may trade earnings. I don't, JD.com, I don't do Chinese stocks. DocuSign, 55 PE on a stock that really doesn't, I mean, what does it do? It's digital signatures. So that's been getting hammered on earnings of late. I'm going to avoid that. Oracle, I'm not going to get paid premiums. I'm going to avoid that. So it's going to be a slow week for earnings trades for sure. The only one that I see that I'm most certainly going to trade is going to be CrowdStrike. Okay, so intended consequences, unintended consequences, call it what you want. This is off the Russian Times. Be aware that obviously, as we're being hit with propaganda on European and American media sites, Russian Times, they're going to have their own propaganda out there. So when I put this up, keep that in mind, okay? Everybody's feeding out propaganda. You need to balance everything out, make your own decisions. Don't believe anything of what they say until you read both sides, and then you could draw your own conclusions. And always, always ask yourself the question, who's getting paid? Who benefits? So India wants to bypass the dollar to keep trading with Russia. These are the unintended consequences that we certainly do not want. You have between Russia, China, India, that's roughly 80% of the globe's population that may be bypassing the dollar-based system or the SWIFT system. Now, I forget who mentioned it earlier. I think it was Clark mentioned bonds and the volatility. I want to talk to you about the MOVE index. What is the MOVE index? It's basically, everybody knows the VIX. It's a fear index for the S&P 500. All right, so when the VIX is high, you got to buy. When the VIX is low, you got to go. But when the VIX is high, that means that S&P 500 is tumbling. Now, the MOVE index, same thing. I don't have that chart up. Damn it. Let's see if I can get that up. There we go. Skyrocketing. We haven't been this high since back here. Since immediately after the financial crisis. We are higher now on the MOVE index than we were during COVID. The question is why? Well, a number of reasons. The Russian stock market is closed until Tuesday. After that point in time, the Russians, if they have a grace period on repayment of their bond debt, if they miss payments on their bonds, they are technically in default. This happened in 1998, and it resulted in a major stock market correction because a company called Long-Term Capital Management blew up, went bankrupt. So the question is, who's got the exposure to Russia? That's why you're seeing all the volatility in the bond market. And until that question's answered, you're going to see volatility in the equity market because the stock market, now we're down 1.8% on the NASDAQ 100. The stock market does not drive the bond market. The bond market drives the stock market. The bond market is vastly larger by multitudes than what the stock market is. So you always watch the bond market. I know a lot of people get teary-eyed when I start talking about bonds when they want to hear about the hot stock of the day. You got to watch the bond market if you want to stay liquid in this market. So right now you have bond traders that are on complete and utter edge about what's going to happen this week or next in the bond market. Who's got the exposure if the Russians default on their debt? And if that institution takes a big hit, then who has counterparty risk to that institution? What funds could blow up, and who has risk associated with those funds? It's a domino effect, just like long-term capital management in 1998. I had no idea. I never heard of the company before. Never heard of it. One day it was all over the news. So you fast forward and you get this. This is the risk being priced into, this is like Credit Suisse bonds. And forgive me, I don't read these all the time, but this is the risk being priced into their bond risk. I mean, it's off the charts. So a lot of fears going on over in Europe that are not being reflected necessarily yet in the equity market. Now, where they're also being reflected in a very, very big way is the yield curve. I told you that I didn't have much good news, but I promise you at the end of this, I'm going to have a bit of good news. The yield curve, which for those not familiar, the yield curve has predicted every single recession since 1955, I believe with the exception of one. And you can see here in gray, when the yield curve inverts, what's the yield curve? 2-year Treasury notes, 10-year Treasury notes, their yield. Generally, the 10-year should be paying more than the 2-year. But when people are afraid and they don't want to lend out 10 years, they go into the 2-year or vice versa. And they invert. You have the 2-year that's paying more than the 10-year. So that's what you're seeing set up here. You're seeing an utter collapse of the yield curve. And the last time we did that, COVID hit. Somehow the bond market knew about that. So something's telling me it wasn't necessarily a secret. Before that, the financial crisis. Before that, the dot-com bubble, so on and so forth. Let's go to comments. Hi, Bob. What's your opinion on the inversion of the yield curve? Hey, Pete. If it inverts, then the probability of us either A, being in recession or going into recession is extremely high. Extremely high. I don't remember an instance, but maybe there was one where we saw a yield curve invert and we did not go into recession. So the bond market is screaming recession. So I would have to put my nickel down and say, okay, and believe me, this played a big factor into me getting, my decision on Friday was, do I put on triple Q puts? Do I buy them, which I rarely do, but do I put on triple Q shorts, puts as a hedge, or do I take a directional bet that the stock market is going to move lower? I went with the directional bet. This is one of the primary reasons. Luis, OPTT fell off on Friday. Yeah, I saw that. Bob, cybersecurity plays CRYN poised for a parabolic breakout. Looking for at a daily. Okay, we'll take a look at it. Joseph, great compilation presented to you, Bob. Thank you very much. Yeah, folks, if you can hit that like button, it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Follow the channel too, please. You bet, Pete. Okay. Oxy. Okay, you got it. All right. So, are the Russian tensions going to ratchet down some? We don't appear ready to want to take that path. The U.S. tells all Americans to leave Russia immediately after Putin dials up threats. All right. So, this could have been ratcheted down over the weekend, but instead they took it up another notch. Putin orders companies to make debt payments to foreign creditors in rubles. So this is not good. All right, so they destroyed the ruble. Now you want to get repaid? Okay, we're going to pay you in rubles. Russian banks Russian banks switch to Chinese card system as Amex joins Visa and MasterCard in suspending Russian operations. Folks, this there are sanctions, and then there is how do you say? What's the word? It's a phrase. Virtue signaling. Virtue signaling. To me, this is virtue signaling. Why? It's because Russia has options, and they're going to take it. So you're for a short term headline, which your PR people told you to do. Longer term, you're losing your business. It's not coming back anytime soon because there are alternatives. And the Chinese are loving this. The Chinese banks are flush with cash being pumped into them from Russia. Crude set to extend record surge after Blinken, moron, says U.S. in active discussion on banning Russian oil imports. Okay, great. That's 10% of our oil imports. Deutsche Bank braces for massive disruptions due to the reliance on Russian IT workers. Not just Russian IT workers, Ukrainian IT workers. I use Ukrainian IT workers. They're still online. I've talked to them on Skype. And this is a major disruption. Many companies offshore their IT work. So this is going to become a major problem. Also, for the semiconductor sector, 70% of all neon gas is produced out of Ukraine. Neon gas is used obviously in neon signs, but it's also used in semiconductors. Just when we thought we had enough problems in the semiconductor shortage business, we got a new one thrown in there. This is Bill Ackman. World War III is likely started. He may not be wrong here. Bill Ackman goes full hell is coming on Twitter. So obviously Bill Ackman, for those who don't know him, he's a hedge fund manager, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's not dumb, but he lacks common sense. Case in point, he advertises massive short in, what was it? Oh, I forget the name of the company. I just told this story the other day. It's on the tip of my tongue. He advertises massive short, like a third of his portfolio was in this short. So Carl Icahn comes on and says, you know what? I'm going to squeeze this guy out of his position. And Carl Icahn ripped his face off on that short. What's the name of the company? If somebody remembers it, it's going to drive me crazy now. Just type it into the chat box if you would. So Ackman's out there. He must be net short. He talks his book constantly. Führer Zelensky lashes out at NATO for not imposing a no-fly zone. Why they don't... Herbalife. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yes. The company's name was Herbalife. Thank you for that. Chinner. Hey, brother. Yep, Rick. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. PBF, Joe. Yeah, Donnie, the metals and miners, base metals as well. The base metals are ripping. In addition to the precious metals, you could argue that the base metals, copper, steel, aluminum, they're ripping through the ceiling. So yeah, there's more upside to go there. I think that the precious metal names, they've just begun to run. So PBF. Now, as for the base metal names, U.S. Steel, very overbought. I would not chase it here right now. I looked at it over the weekend. He's still looking? You trolling me? Great show today. One of the best things. Thank you very much, Ange. Appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Billionaire. Love that name. Herbalife. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. So Zelensky, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's the World Economic Forum. I don't know if there are any adults left in the room in Washington, in the EU, I just don't know anymore. I'm more afraid of the children in charge of the West than I am of Putin, because they don't clamp down on this guy. He should, if they really want to save lives in the Ukraine, if they really cared about the Ukraine, they would tell this guy, get on a plane, get the F out. He's worth over $12 million that we know of. So he's not a poor guy. Where do you get that money from? And Lord knows what shell companies he's got money buried in, allegedly. So the only way that they're going to save people's lives over in the Ukraine, if they really cared, is he resigns and they swear that they're not going to become a NATO member. End of statement. Russian troops withdraw. They're not going to do it. They're not getting down on this guy and saying, listen, shut up. We're not doing a no-fly zone because that means war. World War III, seriously, World War III, kinetic, and it's not going to end well for anybody. Charles Enner predicted middle of March 14th, we will have 2 weeks bear market. I don't know who Charles Enner is, but okay, Tom. Okay. Cliff has nice downtrend line on monthly with TrendSpider. I think I looked at that one the other day, right? Trader Isaac, wasn't it you that asked me about that? We talked about it. I think we started shaping up pretty well. Yeah, Herbalife. Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Palladium is also breaking through the ceiling. Yes, absolutely. Palladium's doing well. Okay, yeah, we'll go over Cliff again tonight. I wrote it down. It's on my list. Okay. We already went over this. Bravo, shout out to Elon Musk here. He's one of the adults in the room. And, not for nothing. You want to hate communists, you want to hate Russia for their autocracy and he's a dictator. Okay, I'm with you on that. Fine. But don't go telling me that I cannot show Russian news on my platform because you don't want their messaging to get out. So by the EU and the United States trying to pressure Elon Musk into not showing RT news, it makes them just as bad as Putin. And what that Justin Trudeau did to those truckers the other day, declaring that emergency and seizing bank accounts, is Orwellian, and nobody's going to want to fight for a country that does that. They'll fight for freedom. They won't fight for tyranny. So bravo, Elon Musk, one of the adults in the room. Soaring wheat prices leave this country susceptible to uprising. Folks, we haven't seen anything yet. What? There's a, I'll call it a conspiracy theory, but it makes sense. They're trying to make oil, and this is the Davos crowd, the World Economic Forum, Carl Schwab. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make oil so expensive that it makes renewable energy cost effective. No matter what the outcome, it's going to drive it's going to drive the West. The Chinese think we're crazy. The Russians think we're crazy. India thinks we're crazy. It's going to drive us back to the Stone Ages for a while until the technology plays catch up. And this is not going to help. Soaring energy prices and wheat, I mean, it's going to cause destabilization globally for many countries, and we cannot exclude the United States. Who's benefiting? Ukraine is lost. It's done. It's just a matter of who raises the white flag and when. They're going to drag this out. Why? It's because you see the military defense contractor stocks, they're ripping through the ceiling. Who's getting paid? Always watch who's getting paid. The defense companies. They want to keep this going. It's going to generate cash flow no matter how many, they don't give a rat's butt about the dead. All right, so a bit of good news. U.S. Senate passes bill to end COVID-19 national emergency. Hopefully, we're able to chop this guy's nuts off because they keep trying to extend it over and over again. Hopefully, this comes to an end because as long as you have a state of emergency, this guy can have what Justin Trudeau did up in Canada. He can have dictatorial powers. And the last thing you want is for this potato to have dictatorial powers. I'm getting margin called tomorrow. Sorry to hear that, man. Sorry, Jason. Yeah, folks, try to stay off margin. RRC that I mentioned a little while ago back went from 20 to a high of 26.73. Hope you got in on that. Good for you. Nice. Putin is banning Russian news already. No, he's not. I have it right here. It's right here. It's up. Haha. Canada was seizing bank accounts of family members of. Yeah, that was horrible, right? The wife and who is a part of the young leaders group at the World Economic Forum? You have Trudeau, Morrison or Morrissey down in Australia, the president down there, as well as the president of France, Macron. All were in the young leadership program of the World Economic Forum. Who else? Mark Zuckerberg. Pete, what does better in high inflation? High interest rate and during the war. What does better in high inflation? High interest rate and during a war. I'm not understanding it. Can you rephrase that question for me, Pete? I don't know if we're making a statement or asking a question. I'll answer it if it's a question. Bob, I totally agree on the green push. They have said they need $5 a gallon gasoline to make it work. That was pushed up a few years ago. Yeah, so you want to start looking. This is this. I don't want to make this like a political show, but unfortunately, politics plays a lot in, especially right now, in finance. So we got to talk about it. So we need to start looking at the solar plays, OPTT, which Lewis mentioned earlier. We have that position. We're probably going to add to that at some point in time. But these are alternative energy plays that at some point in time are going to catch a bid. So buckle up. There's going to be opportunity here, so we don't want to miss out on it. JP Morgan forced to cover its short on silver. Is that a fact, Tom, or no? This will be the week of 2,000 an ounce. I'm probably right. BSM, OVV. Okay. Are our tanks and fighters planes going to run off solar panels? No, that's a very good point. Yeah, China's laughing right now. Laughing. They're getting oil at a discount, bargain basement out of Russia. I mean, you got to think of it this way. What if Russia said, "Listen, you want to knock us?" They're still on the SWIFT payment system for oil and aluminum. Pardon me, but not for energy. What if they said, "Listen, we want to get paid in rubles for our oil"? They destroyed the ruble. Ruble's going to recover like a V-shaped recovery overnight. Okay, so let's talk about some trades. Russian stock market to remain closed through Tuesday. Does it reopen? I think it will. Uh, so be aware of this, and this plays into one of our trades of the week. Sanctions talk. Why didn't the U.S. cut off Russia from SWIFT? Missing on the list, sanctions on Russian energy exports and aluminum supplies. So a lot of the banning on Swift is, hold on. A lot of the banning on Swift is really not as, wow, not as, I want to see what fired off. Small caps, new session lows. They're down 1.65%. To think that you have the small caps down less than the NASDAQ 100 on a percentage basis is a real tell about what's going to underperform this week, because they're down 1.65% with the trip, in essence, the trip Qs are down around 1.9%. Pete, did you rephrase that? If I am to invest money, where should I put my money to work during high interest rate and inflation? Maybe precious metal. Okay, so here's we're going to be looking for our next leg of our trading strategy. Okay, so right now we're in the geopolitical phase. You have the dollar rallying along with precious metals. That's not going to last long, because remember what we're doing. We're picture the dollar as having three legs. It's a three-legged stool. Right now, we're working very, very hard at knocking the legs out from under that three-legged stool to the point where it's going to buckle, whether it be due to the debt, whether it be due to the fact that it falls, or it's not going to be the reserve currency. You got to think about what other countries are out there: China, India, Indonesia. Again, this is the vast majority of the world population. So they're looking at what we just did to Russia, and they're going to say, wait a minute, that could be me. We can't allow ourselves to be under the thumb like that. So what we're doing is saying, we're just telling people, we're telling countries, you better diversify your risk. That's what we're doing. So when this geopolitical episode comes to an end, I think that the dollar goes this way, yields go this way, as you just mentioned, and gold goes and precious metals go up higher. So do I believe that when the geopolitical risk comes off, that precious metals will decline? Yes, I do. Do I believe that that's the end of the rally? No, I don't. Because remember that gold and silver were rallying up well before Russia invaded the Ukraine, well before anxiety rose about Russia invading Ukraine. So the ball was already put into motion. So the factors, the variables that were in place before the Russian invasion are still in place now. But what we've done is only serve to weaken the US dollar further. So it's even going to be worse to the downside for the dollar the next correction. So where we're going to be looking is still, on that pullback on precious metals, buying more, buying a lot more. What else do we want to do? International value stocks, emerging market plays. That's where we want to be looking to put money to work, ideally not in China. Indonesia's poised for a liftoff. Brazil, up big already. So these are the names that are going to benefit from the New World Order. That's where we want to be. Now, if we see a stock market correction come in hot and heavy, the central banks are going to have to get together and say, listen, all right, well, I was talking to a guy that he's a macro bond trader. He's like me. I'm a macro stock trader. So I look at macroeconomics, macro political events, and I factor them into the stock market and how it might. I'm not a professional on bonds whatsoever. I appreciate the value that bonds have in giving me an edge in the stock market trading, but I'm not a professional. One of my buddies is, and he's a macro thinker as well. And so I was talking about the fact that if they ever normalized the 10-year yield to about 5%, that it would be the equivalent of the defense budget. And he paused me there because that's old data. I said, what's the new data? He goes, for every 1% increase in the Fed funds rate, that is with our current mountain of debt, that is $300 billion a year, not including principal, just on interest on our debt. So if we were ever to normalize, that's $15 billion. $15 billion. No, what is that? It's over $1 trillion a year in bond payments, interest only. So it would vastly surpass our defense budget. So the central banks are going to have to say, all right, the stock market's falling apart, economies are falling apart. Do we normalize rates and get beyond this, or do we print money and repump up the balloon? You better bet your bottom dollar they're going to reinflate the bubble. That's what they always do. That's the only thing they know how to do, or else there's going to be military tribunals. So they don't want to be in front of a military tribunal. So expect that to happen in the longer term. They will be going back to the printing presses, and they will be printing more money than you could possibly have ever imagined before. Then you got to buy growth stocks. I'll be looking to buy the ARK funds at that time. But for now, precious metals, dividend-paying value stocks overseas. Putin on Friday signed a bill introducing prison sentences. Yes, I read about that. Tom Liu, I bought RSX, Russian ETF. Yeah, I didn't go over this on the weekend commentary. I forgot about it. And for those that are just joining in, I have a new playlist on YouTube. It's my unlocked premium content. So if you're not ready to take the 14-day free trial offer, watch my unlocked premium content. You can't really trade off of it, right? Because now it's old news. But what you're able to do is go back and say, okay, could I have used this information in my trading? And you could decide whether or not I could work for you. So take a look at it. All right, so yeah, we took that trade too, Tom. We opened up a long trade. We bought. I didn't buy the RSX. I bought the call options because I wanted a defined risk trade. So we bought RSX. It was a bull call spread. We bought it deep in the money. RSX call option expiring in August. We sold a deep out of the money, I think a 17 strike call option to help finance that trade. So we're long of Russia, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. David, yeah, 125 on oil. Yep. We brought up that chart earlier. Yeah, it is a gutsy trade. It's a pure contrarian trade, no doubt about it. Little plug there. Putin and Xi will be out of SWIFT, and they've been playing in this for years. Putin took 200 tons of gold from Africa. Yep. Interesting thesis. Yep. Thank you. Carl Icahn exits Occidental Petroleum. Wall Street Journal reports Oxy. Okay. Cool. Wow on William. Thanks, Paul. I read this. Okay. So you guys are having a nice conversation there. Good stuff. William, thank you. Smash the like button, folks, if you could, please. I think they'll finish 3,000 an ounce. Silver? I mean, gold, I'm assuming. All right. Can we trust Brazilian government with PBR as an energy play? With Divi, Bolsonaro, I think, is a pretty decent guy. I happen to like him. So he's not a globalist. He hates the globalists. So yeah, I like Brazil. I talk about it frequently. So I like PBR, Petrobras, very, very good company. So I'm in on it. Falcon, speaking of Indonesia, did you see INDO go off this week? No. We're looking at the other ETF. Was it? I forget the ITW. I forget what it is. Forgot my water. My voice is going. Okay, Tom. They all pissed off Swift as sanctions with no real money. Okay. All right. So NASDAQ down 1.85%. What's gold doing since everybody's talking about gold? Up 1.33%. We're probably going to be at 2,000 tomorrow morning. All right. So back to this. The number 3 oil company or energy company over in Russia is Lukoil, symbol Lukoy. And I'll share this with you from Investopedia if you want to research a little bit. So I'm going to be eyeballing a trade in Lukoil. And folks, this portion is going to be brought to you by our sponsors over at TrendSpider Automated Technical Analysis. As a matter of fact, they're doing a 40% flash sale. Use the link below, take you over there, explore the product. They have a 7-day free trial offer. I give it away free to our silver and gold level members. So if and when you're ready to join, silver and gold level members get TrendSpider for free. If you just want TrendSpider, fine. 7-day free trial offer. Head on over, watch their demo tour. They have a bunch of free tutorials here, a great team, awesome customer service. So they're growing by leaps and bounds. Get the edge over your other neighboring traders by using their automated technical analysis and awesome alerts. TrendSpider. Link below. All right, so Lukoil, in the month of February, March, we've hit all-time record lows. This is a monthly chart to your left. To your right is a daily chart. So why do we like it? Well, we don't care about it being at all-time record lows. That doesn't matter to us all that much. So we're going to take this off, broaden this out. But for the purpose of the chart is just to show you the amount of damage that's been done to these shares. Now, there is support down here. I don't know how they got this with the automated trend line. I'm not even going to, this has got to be a bad tick. Yeah, this is not relevant. Daily chart. So remember, the Russian stock market's closed. Now, before I go into this, if you invest $1 into Lukoil, you got to expect to lose every single penny of it. It is highly speculative. For all I know, this company's never going to trade again. So if you're going to trade this, it's got massive upside, but the risk is very, very high. So be forewarned before I go into this. So I think that they will resume trading. And the fact that they haven't sanctioned the energy companies from using SWIFT, or the banks, they're allowing transactions on SWIFT for energy. That tells me that Lukoil is going to bounce back, not to its all-time former glory. This was over $100 a share only a little while ago. It hit a high back here in October at $109 a share. It closed out the day on Friday Where did it close? $13.77 a share. RSI is at around 13. So we're going to be looking to pick up some shares. Unfortunately, there are no options on this. This is an over-the-counter traded stock. So there are no options, or else I would buy the options. So just be forewarned, we will be looking to trade Lukoil on a short covering rally when the Russian markets open. That doesn't mean it can't push down lower first, but we will be buying Lukoil this week. Let's do some chart requests. Hi, sorry for my bad English. Don't worry about that, man. I'm American. I can hardly speak English. I butcher the language. Can you make an analysis of solar edge technology? Just give me the symbol if you could. I want to buy tomorrow. I would like to hear your opinion. Yeah, no worries. And I see you're on. Oh, you're on here from Twitch. That's nice to see. Hello to those watching on Twitch. Please say hello. All right. We have a bunch of stocks to get to. welcome from Germany, and just share that symbol, and we'll take a look at it. Is that a U.S. traded stock? Russian bank will buy all the shares, like Bank of Japan. I bought RSX $5 share for the sake of gold, palladium. Okay, speculative. Take your time. I have plenty to go over. I'll be watching for it. All right. Let's do this. Luke, we did. Zim reporting earnings this week, folks, so be careful. I like it. I think it's going up higher. We broke out last week. Maybe we'll bounce again this week. Set myself a reminder about earnings so I don't jump on this if my alert fires off. Now, keep in mind that I think the chart looks great. We're breaking out. We do have resistance up here at around $84.23 per share. Daily view. I think it's going up higher. It pulled back off of its highs on Friday. That's okay. I think it's going up higher. Zim, I like. I think it's a buy. But just be careful. I wouldn't do it in front of earnings. That's too speculative for me. SED. Thanks, William. Thanks, man. Okay. Since we got this up, so don't forget it. CDG. You're welcome. Okay, SEDG. Let's go to the monthly chart first. It's in a consolidation. I've gone over this one before. These are my markups here. So we have really good support below. This is really, if you're looking for a stock, I don't know if this trades options. Let me check it out. It does, yeah. I like this chart. I wouldn't buy the options, but this is certainly one where you could open up a Strangle on. Video below, free video. Watch my commentary on Strangles. We love Strangles here. I haven't done them much lately because of the volatility in the market, but when you see a stock like this that's trading sideways, that's a good candidate for a Strangle. Back to the chart. Monthly chart. We're off the highs of the month. We're struggling here at this moving average. I guess it's a 20 period. Yes, 20 period moving average. But we're in a trading range. I like it. The longer the consolidation, the greater the validation of any breakout. And we broke out last month, as noted here. So if we pull back to this support level at around, what is this? 201. I can't read the around 262 per share. That would look interesting to me. Keep a little bit of sensitivity on there. And we'll keep this active for a couple of weeks. So I would be okay as long as the options are priced right for premium and the risk, I would be looking to open up a strangle on this trade tomorrow. Weekly chart, they broke it out last week. But as you can see here, though, you have some sellers. You have a bit of resistance above at these volume shelves. No great big deal. Any pullback is a buying opportunity. Daily chart. Yeah, what we did here is here's the value of the automated trend lines. Take it off, click of a button. You would have known if you had this tool, you could have had an alert set up here saying, hey, when SEDG hits this upper band of resistance, notify me so I could stop out, book profits, make them real, and then buy back in on a pullback. So this is the value of having these alerts. Extremely important in this kind of market in particular. So SEDG is looking good. Expect a pullback here. I like it. Even 279 looks pretty good. Okay. And we're good to go here. SEDG looking good. Comments. No new trades on Icon. He was bashing them. McDonald's. Yeah, I think he gave up a couple of board seats there, where he holds only 200 shares, trying to get attention. Oh, I thought didn't he have a bigger position in McDonald's and he had board seats that he gave up? Maybe it's a different company I'm thinking about. 10 is a great way to play the Sol industry. SEDG is a big weighting in the ETF. Right. Okay. 10 is the ETF. Right. Gotcha. Franklin Paul, I agree. Okay. Yeah. TWA. Yeah. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining in. Yeah. That's right. You're watching on Twitch. Right. Let me get it for you. I'll pop it into the chat box. Let me know if that link comes through, okay? Okay. That's SEDG. Ethereum, I got to use. Thank you very much. Good. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining in. Okay. What did I do? I spelled it wrong. Ethereum. Why can't I spell Ethereum? The heck do you spell Ethereum? There you go, with an A. Ethereum. There we go. Yeah, it's trading just like Bitcoin. You know, it's weak. It's a risk asset. That's the way the markets are treating it right now. They're not viewing it as any type of a hedge against inflation. So I think you're going to see lower lows here on Ethereum until they realize, maybe it's going to happen at the Fed meeting this in March. They're going to come to realize, hey, they're not doing anything. And Powell came out the other day and he says, listen, I'm only going to do quarter point basis rate hikes. He should be doing half point rate hikes if he's serious. He should stop building up this balance sheet. He's not doing it. He's not serious. So at some point in time, traders are going to wake up and they say, this guy's not with the game. And They're going to sell off growth stocks viciously, and then they're going to start buying crypto. Because it'll probably be after this crisis ends and the dollar goes into a decline and people are seeking other alternatives. That's my take on Ethereum. Longer term, bullish. Short term, bearish. OPTT, I didn't go to. I'll go for Lewis. This is a very small company. They use, let's get RSI off. Make some room here. They use the currents in the ocean to create energy. That's better. So on the week, it closed down, but keep in mind the week before it broke out. So we may get a retrace back down here at around 109 per share, and we may be adding more. Keep doing that tonight. And we'll keep this active for a few days. Daily view. So yeah, here's your breakout. Here's your pullback. We're probably going to retrace back down, do a test, then it begins to move up higher. So I think the selling is done, and now you're going to be looking at some buying coming in the next few weeks. OPTT report, good information on 314. Great information. Thank you for that. All right, that's OPTT. Oxy, monster. It's going up higher. So were I long of this trade, how would I use the automation tools here? Well, I would use the automated trend lines, obviously. If we get a pullback, I want to get notified of the pullback. And if I get in and I'm looking to swing trade this, I'm going to set up an alert here, letting me know that my upper band of resistance is being tested. And I book profits. I make them real. So the monthly chart looking awesome. It's going up higher. Weekly chart looking awesome. It's going up higher. Daily chart, we're probably going to pull back. So we're trading at current above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I'll save you the technical jargon. We're not supposed to be there. So expect a potential retrace on Oxy. Right back down to where we have our alert here. Then I think that it consolidates and moves up higher. PBR or PBF. Ooh. Oh, this is going up higher. We broke out last week on volume. Your upside resistance target is around 28 bucks a share. Beautiful day on Friday. Just note where, and here's again the value of the automated trend lines, folks. That's the algorithm working for you. We were stopped at resistance. Doesn't mean it can't move up higher, but just take note, we were stopped at resistance. So you may want to wait for a breakout or a retrace, a pullback. But it's looking really, really good. PBR, monthly chart. Not as bullish as I would have thought. It's a bullish chart, but we saw topping action. We got a lot of resistance up here. Oh, I see why. We're running right into the 200 period moving average on a monthly time frame, and it also corresponds with a lot of overhead supply. You have a lot of supply above. All these people that bought way back here, all they're looking for is their money back. So they're going to be selling. You have a lot of overhead supply here. Weekly chart. We broke out the week of the 7th of February, retrace 1, retrace 2, retrace 3. You generally don't want to see a fourth retrace. You want to see a breakout. So on that breakout, on that continuation move higher, I'd be a buyer of PBR. Volume was very strong last week. We hit resistance. We backed off on a daily time frame. I think we're moving up higher on PBR. Bullish. Cliff. Cliff is an animal. It broke out last week. Stokes are rising. Momentum's building. There's a lot of upside potential here. Next resistance level to worry about, well, arguably right here, is 26.59. We're right there. But yeah, $33 a share. That's probably where we're going in the short term. Daily chart. Very strong chart. We're breaking out above all these volume shelves. Cliffs, bullish, going up higher. BSM. Blackstone Minerals. Any relation to Blackstone, do we know? The bank? It's a good looking chart. It's a daily chart, though. Let's pull back, see where it's been. It's broken out on a monthly time frame. Very nice. Weekly chart. It broke out last week on a weekly time frame. It's going higher. And I want to go back to that weekly chart. Look at the volume. This is not mom and pop buying 100 shares of BSM. These are your banks. They're buying it up. Daily chart. Bullish key reversal bar on Friday sets the stage for a rally to resistance up at $12.85 per share. Bullish on BSM. OVV. Never heard of this one. It's a good looking chart. I think it still goes up higher. Resistance right at around 54. So you have about $6 worth of upside potential. Would I initiate a new trade here? Probably not. Not enough risk for the not enough reward for the risk. But I do think it goes up higher. The weekly chart looks outstanding. Really, really nice. Let's overlay that monthly resistance onto a weekly chart, and here it is. So while here's the value of having this ability to overlay monthly resistance on top of a weekly chart, because without this, and you're just using a weekly chart, you're going to say, okay, I have resistance up here at around 77 bucks a share. But in reality, that's not the truth. You have two more resistance levels before you get to that 75. All right, so just be careful when you're legging into this position. I think it could be bought, but just be aware of resistance levels above. INDL, we'll leave it off with this. My voice is shot. Ow. This is a crash up. Anybody that was, I don't know if this is optional, but anybody that was selling naked calls on this one got their faces ripped off. It's going to pull back, but longer term, it's a buy. So INDO, short term bearish, longer term bullish. Let's circle back. I'm going to close it out with the futures action. See what's going on. Gold up 1 1/3%. S&P 500 down 1 1/3%. You're not seeing any buyers here. NASDAQ 100 down 1.83%. Looks like we're going to head lower. This is a 5-minute chart. So, members, tomorrow morning, I'll be up early. I'm going to share with you where I think that we're going to stop out. Not stop out, where we're probably going to take some of that Q position off the table. For those just joining in, we left Friday out. We bought a put position on the Qs. So that should pay off well tomorrow. So we're probably going to start legging out of that at support levels, which I'll identify tomorrow morning. We'll see how we open up before I go to all that trouble. What else do we have here? Russell 2000 weakening up. This is bad. So, for those that are new to trading, I know I have a very wide, diverse audience, and I don't mean ethnically. Ethnically, yeah, we have Europeans, Africans, we have a whole bunch of people. But in terms of experience levels, this is not the time to be on margin. Margin is your enemy. Growth stocks right now are your enemy. They may look like they came down a lot. They can go a lot further down. So remember when you're on margin that your senior partner is your broker. So try to remain off of margin. And if you're not comfortable shorting stocks, fine. I get it. It's a risky business. Sit in cash. Wait for opportunities. They're going to be out there, but you got to wait until there's blood in the streets. We don't have blood in the streets yet. Like if you take a look at the Russian stocks, there's blood in the street there. If you take a look at the shares of PayPal a few weeks ago, Netflix a few weeks ago, there was blood in the streets there. So in terms of PayPal, we took advantage of it. So be careful, folks. Just be careful. This is a very, very dangerous market. All right, everybody's checking out. William, you're welcome, my friend. Trader Isaac, you're welcome. Get something. Yeah, my voice is shot. Usually I have my water bottle here. I left it upstairs. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, Franklin. Anytime. I think DocuSign does not have a competitive advantage. It's got a PE of 55. In a normal uptrending bull market, I would trade the earnings which are being reported this week. I'm not doing it. Too much risk. So I would avoid it. I don't like it. It's a stay-at-home stock. Any of those names right now, they don't exist to me. At some point in time, it'll look attractive, just not right now. You're welcome, Talon. Hey, folks, if you're not currently a member, subscribe to our 14-day free trial offer. Not ready for that? Check out my premium unlocked content, the playlist on YouTube, and watch my old content, see if it'll help. If you want to get my 5-part video tutorial on my five top favorite candlestick patterns, use the link below, and those will be sent out to you. And everybody have a profitable trading week. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Paul, you're welcome. Thanks for being here as always. And Tom, you're welcome, sir. Everybody have a profitable trading week, and much more important, manage your risk, folks. Be very, very careful and be well. You're welcome, John. Take care now. Good night.